here. We are happy that you are joining us. We're really pleased to be partnered with CSTA. And let me knock this off my screen that just popped up. There we go. And topic for today is going to be why is Codio right for your school? So let's just get started. Just super quickly, I'd like to mention that I'm the Director of Customer Growth at Codio. I'm really just a former computer science teacher myself, K-12 robotics. I have a passion like you for teaching computer science, and that's pretty much why I'm here. And also have with me is Brittany Granquist, and you want to tell a little bit about yourself, Brittany?
Sure. So I taught for 10 years and very recently transitioned into the customer success specialist role at Codio. So my team basically works with people who are trying to get help to set up in Codio, troubleshooting, getting together trainings and such. And so I'm happy to be here to support RJ and do some demos today.
Right. So I'll go through an overview, a little pedagogy, some research, reasons why Codio is right for your school. And then we are going to let her do some in-platform demos at the end. We'll try to keep it around 45 minutes. That's the plan. If you have questions, Kate, is the chat room open so they can add a question if they like?
Yes, the chat room is open.
Right. Right. And Brittany or I will try to answer your questions. And if we don't know, we'll definitely make sure we get back to you, and we'll get an answer for you if we don't. So, all right. So this is what it looks like, a little bit about Codio. We're going to talk right off the top about pricing and adopting Codio in your classroom, because I want you to be really excited about the CSTA member benefit that we have to offer. It's an all-in-one solution. We are very much about the learn by doing approach.
Hey, RJ, can you share your screen too? Because I think you have a really good slide on that.
Oh, you don't have my screen. Hang on.
You got this.
Hang on. Desktop two. There we go. Hang on.
Great.
All right. There we go. So to continue, one thing that's really special about Codio is all of our resources are editable, completely customizable. You can mix and match. So we're going to talk about that. We also, let me get back over here now. We're going to talk about some of our powerful time-saving features in the Codio platform. We're going to talk about how Codio can result in improved outcomes. And as I mentioned a minute ago, Miss Brittany there is going to do a demo for us in platform when we're through. I'm just sharing this with you right off the bat because I received this from a customer via email a few weeks ago, and I could hardly get past an incredible platform. But these are the kind of things we hear all the time, how it's just transformed how they teach and transformed their classroom, and it's transformed students, their engagement level and their outcome. So I wanted to share that with you because I believe that Codio is an incredible platform as well. This is just a quick 1-minute video that I want to run for you because it gives a whole ball of wax in case we miss anything, but it's just a minute. So I'm going to run that now.
But uncheck that in the corner of it, the mute. Use the corner of the video.
Oh, no.
Bottom left.
Oh, there it is. Hang on, guys.
Waste time moving code between an IDE and your LMS. You need a platform that saves you time, cuts costs, and scales with your enrollment. What you need is Codio. It's a complete solution with the tools you need to teach computer science. Codio brings together a web-based IDE, the ability to track student progress, stack templates, and unlimited servers in the cloud. You can also upload your course materials. Our content tool controls the IDE and creates an interactive experience for your students, all in one platform. It's also easy to set up quickly, really quickly. Codio comes with a library of fully configured stacks. Create a new project from a template in a few clicks and instantly assign it to your class. Codio is for beginners and experts. Our powerful IDE progresses with students into their professional careers. Use an LMS. We integrate with Moodle, Blackboard, and many others. Codio saves you time too. There's no software to install. You can allocate work to your whole class with just a few clicks. Use auto-graded tests to give students instant feedback. Then check their progress and instantly assess their code with built-in plagiarism and debugger tools. Experience Codio for yourself with a free trial or a demo. Why not request yours today?
All righty, super quick and simple. Jump back over here. Here we go.
What if you could control the web with your mind?
Well, this is, there we go. Let me close this. There we go. All right. Here we go. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me through that. Also, just wanted to mention that it's one aspect of Codio that I really like is we are very much involved in research. This is just one of the recent surveys that we did. You can find this and other surveys that we've done on our website in our publications section. But our goal is to make sure that we are listening to teachers, that we understand their needs, that we know what's happening in the computer science classrooms, that we understand what tools that you need. And so we do our own research. We involved with other organizations. We've presented and published. So just that's something that's super important to Codio. It's just not something that we talk about. It's something we believe and something that we do research. And the last thing before I move on, I want to mention that something that's really special about Codio is we've been around about 5-6 years. Our roots are in programming. We were developed so that we have a real world programming environment. But what people tell us time and time again is that our customer support staff, the people at Codio, that we really are what make it special. Had an intern recently say, wow, you guys, what's going on? I thought you were weird when I first got here. And we said, why? And she said, because everybody's so happy. So our support team is very responsive. We take feedback from customers. We want to know what you need to work with. Our developers are amazing. We create and custom develop all the time. So I want to put that in there because I think that's also a super important part of who Codio is. Again, our research is on our website. You can go and check that out. But as I said, I want to flip the script here. I was, going to present this at the end. It's kind of, okay, so let's wrap it up with pricing. But I wanted to move that to the front because I want to make sure I don't miss anybody, and I'm super excited about it. We feel strongly about supporting the K-12 community. And we want to help make sure that all students of all, diverse ages and skills and backgrounds, that they have the opportunity to learn to code. So we've made it a mission to, we're ever expanding our catalog of resources. And we also understand the financial and budgetary constraints that you have to deal with. So this Codio product that we offer across the world to the top universities, we offer to K-12 at a significantly reduced rate, including all the same features there's not a skimmed down K-12 package. It is the package, and we offer it to you at a discounted rate. That member benefit price is $10 per student per license. So let's take a closer look at how that works. Well, first of all, instructor accounts at Codio are always free. So once you create an instructor account, and I'll show you that in just a minute, you have access to it's all inclusive, all Codio resources, all of our auto-graded assessments, and complete customer service. So if you haven't created an instructor account, I would encourage you to go do that, because if nothing else, if you don't choose Codio, just a ton of resources there for you right at your fingertips for free. If you wanted to adopt Codio in your class, we would look at the number of student licenses that you wanted. It's a 1-year term, $10 for the entire year per student. Easy adoption by creating an instructor account, and I'll show you this in a second. You log in, you select your organization, you select billing, enter the students and the date, and you are, after putting in your promo code of CSTA plus, if you want to write that down, then you're ready to go. So do you guys have any questions with that on that? Good. All right.
No question.
Okay, perfect. So we don't want to keep it simple. It's pretty straightforward. You create your account, you add some resources, you get your license and begin adding your students, and you're ready to start teaching and learning. Your free instructor account, the button for that is the top navigation bar of our website. There we go. And the form, simple, will take you 30 seconds to complete. And what happens is it goes, we have our live, not 24/7, but almost 24/7 support center chatbot. People manning that, they look at the request, they stamp an approval on it, because we want to make sure you're really a teacher, and then you're good to go. But that form will take you less than 30 seconds. I was going to walk you through that, but I think I'm going to skip that. Let's just go on. So another reason why Codio is the right solution, what is right for your schools, we are an all-in-one solution. You just log in and start coding, because we are cloud-based, we are Linux-based. And I like to think about, okay, imagine if you had something that could work no matter what happens last year, this year, in the future. If you have traditional online or a hybrid of courses, if you don't need tech support, because this is something that very easy to get up and running. You don't need to install a bunch of different environments. How cool is that, right? It can work for any language, any version. And you'll also see later, Brittany's going to demonstrate, it integrates very nicely with lots and lots of popular third-party apps. It's packed with resources, auto-graded assessments, and as the little video mentioned, pre-configured stacks that are there to help get you started. So we're trying to think of everything that you would possibly need to help make it easy to get you started. You may want to use those, you may not, but they're all there for you. We integrate with almost all the LMS. It's a pretty simple process. And what if you found out that it saved you time, improved student engagement and learning outcomes? Well, that is Codio. And what if you had a CS solution that worked on all devices? So that's been a nightmare. I know you've experienced this in your own classrooms, where unless someone provides the devices, everybody has a different device. It's just kind of a nightmare to get everything running. An environment, what you want to teach in, may not work on that device. And so we eliminate that issue by being cloud-based and just log in. Just log in. Okay, so mentioned that up front. We definitely believe in teachers and want to understand what you need. But one of the other really cool features to keep in mind about Codio that makes it special and extremely powerful is that it's flexible and scalable. So Codio will work no matter what your class size is, so large and small. It works for all skill levels, all ages. Doesn't matter how long what your course length is, because Codio can be modified. You can select the pacing, you manage that, you control that. We are not a textbook that's been digitized and you're forced to say, this is, I have to go at this pace. You create the content and the pacing and the course length that fits your program and your students perfectly. So, and as I've mentioned, we have the catalog of resources, but you can also add your own curriculum, delete, mix and match. You can make the perfect course for your students. So, all right, and so this is just another quote, recent quote from a customer talking about how when you have different devices, how difficult it can be. And their solution was they needed one platform, and Codio that was the solution for them. Okay, Codio also lets you live and breathe the learning by doing approach. We believe in hands-on immersive learning. So our Codio assignments, or Codio platform, which you'll see in a minute with Brittany, it's set up in modules, assignments, labs, exercise, and assessments. So basically, you're going to start with information, some assignments, you're going to work through labs together, you're going to give them exercises, You can do formative assessments, cumulative assessments, very flexible, but it's very modular so that you're being presented code in very bite-sized pieces that include labs and hands-on assignments. You're working in an authentic IDE. They're doing real-world programming. It's interactive and engaging. And Brittany will probably talk about this a little bit more too, is that Codio includes videos and interactive images, and that makes it special as well. Through the features with Codio, you're able to give students immediate and meaningful feedback so they can make corrections while they're working. We have real-time interaction with students, and while they're in, it allows them to jump in and play and fix and correct. And we have all the 21st century learning skills happening, problem solving, collaborating. They're repeating, muscle memory, and they are learning to code by doing code. So what does that look like? Here is just an animation of Codio in action. On the right, you'll see we have what we call a guide, which is basically the instructional portion. We have multiple windows that you can set up however it works best for you and your students. We have a coding box window, and then in black, you'll see we also have a terminal window that you can add depending on how complex you want to get and what you're trying to achieve. Completely flexible, but it is a real world programming environment. And as you probably already know, that the best way to learn is by doing, by constructing things that that are important to you, that you can be involved actively in and taking ownership of. So that's absolutely the heart and soul of Codio and our programming platform. Again, Codio is a technology platform with resources that you can use on the platform, and you are teaching children and students in a real world learning environment, and helping them to not just be consumers of technology, but to be learning to be creators of technology. And what a powerful tool. As I've mentioned, free all-inclusive resources. And we've also, research also shows that instead of teachers, it's not just students, but teachers not being passively when you're involved in creating the content and the material that you're teaching, you're engaged, and it just becomes more effective for everybody. So we like the fact that you can become engaged and edit the resources and make it perfect for your classroom. All right, so our resource catalog, this is what it looks like. We're going to go in here live. For K-12 specific, we offer introductory content. Here are a few of them that we have. I'm going to show you how to add those. We also have our Intro to Java course, as well as the AP CSA Intro to Java. And that's Codio's open source AP sequenced content. So similar pacing as AP, we're at College Board AP. And so if you're using that, it's something that you'd be very familiar with. We also, Codio has partnered with Teach, and also We Teach. And these are two organizations, and so they use Codio to power their learning environment, and they provide the curriculum. And each of these are individual, and they have a process, and they provide different levels of curriculum and involvement, and you would pay through them, but it's all powered and partnering with Codio. So if that's also something that you might want to consider looking into, just other options as well. They also have AP through this triangle of Codio, We Teach, and You Teach. You can find AP CSA, P principles, and also C. This is like phenomenal to me, that research shows that instead of passive learning, by active learning, up to 6 times more than what they would do if they were just watching or reading. So because we add tables and images and we make it fun to look at, we use minimal text. And what we want to do is to kind of break down that big wall of text that is overwhelming, because coding is hard enough to teach as it is. We make it interactive, and we add a lot of visuals because that actually helps to raise the learning outcome and raises student satisfaction. They're going to be more engaged. They're going to be want to continue. They're going to be more successful. So that's an approach that we use. Again, more visuals, more tables, and minimize that text. Okay, here are a couple of the features. You can do course management directly in Codio. All of the things that you would expect to see, pinning assignments, you can do due dates, release grades, you can preview assignments, you can do weighted grades. And one of our latest features is being able to do an email nudge to say, hey, you're behind here, or you need to take a look at this, to give them a little nudge. So course management within Codio, or as we've mentioned, integrates with any of your LMS so nicely. We also have a feature called Code Visualizer. It's based on the Python tutor. It's just another way that we can help eliminate that black box of what does coding really mean? When I'm typing, where does the code go? What is happening? The Code Visualizer gives the students a way to see what's happening and helps to conceptualize, and has been great for debugging. You can see and understand how the student's thinking, and then they help conceptualize, and helps them to understand and be successful. We also have so we have real-time feedback. So you can jump into Codio with a student, and we have inline code commenting and code feedback, which we think is super important, because you can guide and instruct the students as they're coding, and have a profound effect on what they're going to learn and their success. So that's code commenting is on the right there. Again, where you can jump in and easily just right click and add a comment to their code. We've also just released paired programming just this week. And also super cool, I think, we've just released in platform AV chatting with like one-on-one and in small groups. So kind of like a Zoom, but it's inside of Codio. And so like if you need a small group session, you can get together. If you just want to work one-on-one, if they're remote, you can feel like you're there. Your picture, you come just like Zoom, your face is on the screen, and you can talk to them live, and you can also show them in real time what's happening and then guide them. So paired programming and AV, in-platform AV chatting, brand new with Codio as well. And then code playback is one of our most popular features. And the reason why is it helps, again, to help you to see what your students are, as they're coding, you replay what they did, you can see what they did, you can see what they're thinking, and see easily where there's an issue. But it's also a very good plagiarism detection system. So everything takes a certain amount of time. So you can see the amount of time that it takes to finish, as well as if it's a paste, poof, their code's in, you know that they had copied and pasted that from somewhere else. But code playback is wildly popular. I've gone through a lot. Are we good? Any questions? Okay, all right. Collaborative coding, just an important part, and all the research shows that working with a partner, it helps you to be more successful coding. So probably what you already know and what we've already pretty much talked about there. I love this quote because it says, you know, what every teacher wants gives me my Sundays back, because you can do everything you need to know, run, compile, run, debug, and all in that environment, and will save you time. It's the all-in-one solution. Who doesn't want their Sundays, right? And I know how hard you teachers work. So, right. And so here we see some LMS integration, and this is going to save you time, because with a single sign-on, they can be, once they're integrated, when they sign into the LMS, you can put their Codio assignment directly in your LMS. When you release grades, that are released directly to the LMS. It's a nice, smooth, seamless, integrated system. And what I'm super excited about as well, and I don't know what grade level that you teach, but we have little by little been adding, well, GitHub's been with us for a long time, but all the popular third-party apps, we've just recently added Scratch. And again, Codio is a technology platform. And what we did was took Scratch, anything that's open source, we can integrate it to Codio if it's Linux based. And so what happens, instead of logging into a separate system, instead of logging into PencilCode or GitHub, you are able to bring that entire platform into Codio. And Brittany's going to show you what that looks like. You don't have two logins. You don't have to do separate instructions. You can do it all in Codio. You can add assessments to that. Everybody knows Blockly. Scratch, people tend to think of that as a younger block-based program. I've said before that I took an intro class in computer science at Harvard, and that was the first thing we did was Scratch, because it's not intimidating. It definitely lets you learn to think like a coder and process and order. And so easily integrates with Codio. PencilCode is something that was brought to us by one of our customers, a large customer that is an online school, and they use PencilCode specifically for an older crowd, and it's very artistic, gives them options. The kangaroo below is Jeroo. It's very game-like. You have kangaroos that can live and do things on an island, and they have to code to make that happen. But you can put all of that right into Codio, so it's super cool. And just a little tiny bit about improved outcomes before we move on to Brittany. So I love this. This came a quote from Coded by Kids. And I like the fact that the quote's talking about kids all the way across the spectrum. The older kids they understand they're working in a real world coding environment, and they understand that, okay, I'm learning to code. This is real. But if you go to the other end of the spectrum for younger kids, even though they don't necessarily know what's happening, they're coding in Scratch, or they're being immersed in technology, and they're using the technical fluency, the vocabulary, and learning technical fluency, and they're learning to think in order and process, and they are immersed in that right inside of Codio. So I love that. And again, they're not learning from a book. This is very real world. It's going to make it very easy for them to transition from coding in Codio to a real world, to a job, to real world environment and experience. And Codio's own research has shown, this was early research on that, Codio can save you 25% of your admin time. Your performance is going to improve by over 15%. And student satisfaction by over 10%. And I've argued about that one because I feel like it's probably a lot higher than that. But, this is what you're looking for. You're looking for something that's efficient, that can save you time, that can help you achieve your learning outcomes, that the students are happier, and they're gonna be engaged, and they're gonna stick around, and their performance is going to improve. So. Okay, so at this point, Brittany's going to talk about, she's going to show you some, oh, you know what, Brittany, I did not jump back over and show the adding resources. So will you kind of add that to the front of what we're doing, a little bit on auto gradient assessments, and take it from there?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Let me unshare. Hang on.
Okay. I think I might be able to share.
Oh, here we go. So there.
Okay. I got it.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, you're good.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Don't
All
even
right.
need me here.
So, so I'm going to demo a couple things. So I want to show you guys auto-graded assessments, turtle graphics. I can show y'all our AP-CSA sequenced curriculum, and then to put more like visual understanding of what those awesome resources RJ was talking about, PencilCode, Scratch, Jeroo. I'll show you those too. So let's talk first about the resource catalog. So when you are in Codio, this is my like main dashboard. These are all my courses. To get to all the resources, all you have to do is click this resource folder and it brings up the resource catalog. The other way you get to this is just from our website. So if you're on the Codio website, here you are, you're on the home page. You can also click this. So it says course resource catalog. It'll bring you to the same exact place. But what's cool here is that you can filter, you can sort in different ways. So interactive OERs, those are going to be like best-selling computer science textbooks that have been ported into Codio. So you might like recognize some of the names like Alan Downey, right? And essentially they're not like, they're more interactive for certain than a regular textbook, but they're not necessarily super comparative to our Codio resources that are developed in-house by our curriculum developing team. These are, when RJ was talking about the pedagogy of being really hands-on and experimental and trying different things, this is what she's talking about, these Codio resources. So here is that APCSA resource. So it's super easy to add anything to your account. And when you have a free teacher account, you can literally add as many as you want, right? You don't pay by the title like a lot of our competitors. You just pay for the license and then you can add as many resources as you want. Like I think I have 6 intro to Python courses in my account, just playing with them and doing different things with them. So all you have to do is click get resource details and then add it to your account. So it'll ask you to create a name for it. If you want to change it, you might name it differently per section, and then you'll indicate the organization that you're in. And that's as easy as that. So you can see that there's quite a lot of content here. You can reorder the content when you go into edit, right? You can delete, you can reorder, you can then on top of that, the best thing that I think exists about Codio as a former teacher is that all of this is editable, right? You can click from this edit tab, you can click into any of this. It opens up the assignment, right? And you can change. So you can change the wording, you can add videos, images, you can add more assessments, making it really specific to your individual needs. So
Brittany?
that part's awesome. Yeah.
Sorry, I just saw David's question about
Oh, sure.
the 2 different Java resources, if you want to
Yes.
touch base on that.
Totally. So the difference between these two is that, let me find them again. This one is AP sequenced. So this one was developed first, right? The intro to Java was developed first by our curriculum developers, and then using the APCSA curriculum, they developed this super aligned to the AP. But it's not yet approved by the board, but it is in the process of getting approved. But when RJ was talking about you teach and we teach, those are all approved.
Sorry, so the CS introduction versus the AP, that one probably starts with the objects.
Which one, the AP?
The AP wouldn't start with objects because that wouldn't align with it. But I'm assuming that if you guys created it, started with objects, or did you do it?
It looks like it's actually a little bit more introductory than that. You see how there's like basic skills, operators, conditionals, but then there is an objects course in Java too. Where is it? There it is, objects in Java. So what sometimes people will do when they have a longer course, they'll mix and match those two. They'll take those 2 Java courses and combine them into one. So we actually just had a university do that. Good question.
Yeah. And David, we in-house content, we like to go intro and then objects is how we've done it. But like Brittany said, you can mix and match.
Mm-hmm.
The in-house content it's getting rave reviews. But usually intro and objects. So great question. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what I wanted to talk about was first was auto grading. So let me just get into an assignment here. So I'm going to head to edit and I'm going to go into this assignment. So in terms of assessments, we have a lot to choose from. I'm just going to add a page so I can kind of play around here. So these are our assessment types. We have a ton. So when you click this chess piece right here, you'll see all of them. So we have multiple choice, we have fill in the blank. These are our popular ones, Parsons problems, which I'll go over in just a second. And then the meat and potatoes of the auto grading is the standard and advanced code test. Standard code tests they just parse through students' output, right? You don't need script to create a standard code test. They're the easier of the two. but they can check multiple different criteria. And then advanced code tests are super powerful, a little more complicated. They have the right name, certainly advanced, because you do have to write a script to do that, but you can parse through students' input. So let's say you're teaching conditionals. You would definitely want to be able to see if students use if-else statements. And with an advanced code test, you can parse through to ensure that happens and give them credit for doing that, in addition to looking at their output. So there's a lot of powerful assessments here. Parsons are a real favorite of our customers. So a Parsons problem is essentially just a broken down code reordered, right? So the student would reorder this code. So I'm going to reset this really quick. Essentially, you can create the different codes, and then essentially students reorder them, play around with indentation, they get feedback right away. There's a lot of different ways that you can program your Parsons problem. So this one doesn't have any distractors. You need all 3 lines of code here, right? But there's another type that I like a little more. It does include distractors in that essentially you have to pull the code from here down, right? Leaving a few behind. So I think that's a really nice way to kind of highlight misconceptions, because students will get which one should I grab, the class sedan or the class sedan car, right? It's a really nice way to highlight misconceptions. In addition, with Parsons, we can do variable checkers, we can do unit test graders, and then this one's awesome. Let me just keep scrolling. The turtle grader. You can actually rearrange the Parsons code lines, and then it will create the turtle drawing right here underneath what it's supposed to create, which is awesome. And they're super easy to make. So when you're adding assessments, you do need to be in edit mode. So I'm going to click this pencil, and then all you have to do, I'm just going to add them at the bottom here, is head to our assessment key right here. And then we have this great assessment library, which contains so many assessments that you can add to courses. So you can search by, like, let's say I'm going to search by the type of problem, because I've got my eyes out on a Parsons problem. So I'm going to search for that. I can also identify the language that I'm teaching in. So I can identify that I'd like one in not in Parsons, sorry, in Python. Okay. And you can actually save that search if you're often using Parsons puzzles. So you can save the search. You can call it Parsons in Python, and you don't have to do that every time then. So here they all are, right? It's as easy as adding it, right? It's all set up. The directions, the execution is all set up, the grading. You can go ahead and change these things, which I like to play with this, because with Parsons puzzles, I like to allow multiple attempts, because the feedback is so specific that you can toggle this off and they can try it a number of times. And then what's also really cool is the rationale is built in for you, and you can decide when or if they get that. So let's say you don't want them to get that, right? Or you're going to give them one try to fix, and then you'll give them that feedback after their second attempt. Those are ways to make it your own. And then you press create. I'm going to click preview here, scroll down, and there it appears at the very bottom, right? And of course you can make your own. So if I head to the assessment key again, and I build a Parsons puzzle, you can give it a name. I don't really like to show the name because the name is more teacher facing, right? So the direction here I'm gonna create, I already have this made, is let's create a program that prints true, right? By dragging the appropriate code blocks. So under execution, I'm gonna put the actual answer here. So I'm gonna make a list called my list, and it's gonna contain some random numbers. But remember, the directions are that we want it to print true. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to print 3 in my list. So this is the correct code. It'll print true, right? But you can also throw in some distractors. So maybe I want to throw in a distractor that there's also a list, but it doesn't have 3 in it, right? Or maybe there's also a list, but it has a different name. It's list 1, and it does have a 3 in it. So they really have to be thinking about a couple different features here. I see a question about any chance the rationales refer back to a standard. Mostly under metadata, you can attach learning objectives to it within your organization and identify the Bloom's level, but you can also create those types of individual tags for your organization if you're trying to attach to a standard. So once I go ahead and create this and I press preview, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and you can see this is one where I pull down and I do have a couple distractors. So Parsons problems are awesome, super helpful. And they're also really like easy to do unplugged, right? Just cut some code up and they can rearrange it. Another thing that's not as easy to do unplugged, but is so powerful is turtle graphics. So if you're teaching an intro Python course, you can also make this happen in Java and C++. Turtle graphics is super easy to set up in Codio. So it just involves using the 3-panel window here, this panel being our guide, this is our code window, and then this is basically the place that once we execute the code, the turtle will pop up. So what I did here is I created a turtle named T. I'm not very clever with my names like students would be. It's going to be using the color blue and be working at a pretty slow speed at first. And then what I'm doing here is I'm using a nested for loop to show. I think this is awesome. Like if I had this when I was learning nested loops, I would have been in such better shape because it's so clear what's happening. When I press try it, you can see the turtle executing visually, right? So this outer loop indicates how many rows are going to happen. This inner loop is essentially the action of creating each row. The visual output here is so helpful for students, especially when there's more abstract concepts like nested loops, right? So that is a great way to conceptualize with turtle graphics, super easy to install in Codio. We also have other really nice visual features. So let me talk about PencilCode, Scratch, and Jeroo. Jeroo is my favorite, by the way, but I won't try to favorite it right now because PencilCode's awesome too. So PencilCode is I think really special because you can toggle between block-based and text-based, which definitely gets a lot of positive reviews in the research, right? They're saying sometimes when you're only working with blocks and then you release students into only text, it can be like syntax overload, right? And students can shut down. But with PencilCode, all you have to do is you have to just click and toggle. So there was a study that we read at Codio, and it basically said that when students are working in PencilCode, for the most part, they're working in the text, right? But when they want to do something new that's out of the scope of what they already know, then they'll go back over to blocks and kind of use this as like a discovery, like, what can I do in here, you know? So it's a cool way to like have that floor. Everybody can enter at that same point. There's a place for everybody here, but there's a high ceiling in that students can take it as high up as they want to go. So in this example that I'm going to do, I'm just going to show, this is creating a pentagon in a red color pen. It's a pentagon because it's happening 5 times. When I show that, you'll see it happening pretty slowly at first, but we can adjust the speed. Notice that the turns are based on exterior angles. So 360 divided by 5 would be 72. I think this is a great opportunity to you can actually play with different options. Before I see this question, this is a really good question. PencilCode's text language. There is a way to, let me see, I think under settings here, yeah, you can change the language.
Nice.
You could do coffee script, JavaScript. These are different options. So I think this is a really great way to introduce taking code and kind of transferring it to an algorithm. Right. So if you, in introducing variables, like the helpfulness of variables. So for example, you could say, okay, we're going to have n be 6 this time. So I'm going to swap out 5 for n. And then I'm going to set another variable that could be the color of our pen. So let's make it blue this time, right? The pen will be C this time. And then I can speed it up so that we can try different things and not have to wait for the turtle to move so slowly. And then another thing that we can do here is we can take the 72. Instead of that, we could say, hey, it's the 360 divided by the number of sides. And we can really turn this into an algorithm and show students that now we can draw a lot of different polygons, right? And change that N, and we really are able, it's able to shift and change with just the quick change of the number of sides. So I think that's a really cool application. Again, then you could say, all right, well, let's do something else. I've seen some problems where students are like writing the name of the pentagon. So if there are, you know, a certain number of sides, then they'll write this is a pentagon, right? So there's a lot of different ways to differentiate. And I think that's what's awesome about a lot of these things, is that they have a really high ceiling. So that is PencilCode. Do you have any questions about PencilCode so far?
How would you build an assessment into this?
Sure. So what you can do is if you're, I can show you this in a little bit with Jeroo. I designed a guide that's a little bit more engaging than just this. But what you would do is you could hit this pencil and just create an assessment that would show up right here. So a lot of the fill in the blanks that we have under the execution, they use Markdown. So when you're putting all the blocks in here, you can actually use pictures. So you can take screenshots of the blocks in PencilCode and create an assessment with that. But I'll show you, instead of making it right now because of time's sake, I'll show you in Jeroo if that's all right. So that's PencilCode. Let me jump over to Jeroo and then I'll finish with Scratch, if that sounds good, RJ. So Jeroo is a little more complicated because it's not block-based. You can use Java, C++, C, Python, a lot of different options here. So in Jeroo, I've designed this island. It's very simple. I'm just gonna head back over here and press my pencil to edit. You just need to use these different file names, right? So if you're gonna create a new file, you go to File, New File. I'll just do delete because I wanna remember to delete this later. JSC, bam, it comes up, right? And you can edit the island how you want to edit it. So you can add water. Jeroos can't swim, so heads up on that. You can add flowers. Jeroos can pick and toss flowers to disable nets. So you can add nets that allow that they have to steer clear of, right? And what you do here is you can then save the island. It jumps right over here to the file tree. You can see it right over here. And then you set that up with your paneling. So I've already set up my paneling here to include my guide and then also my Jeroo environment. So you were asking about assessments, right? So I designed this guide here to basically walk students through this task of introducing methods using Jeroo. So let me just show you really quick. I'm going to open this file. Let's see this methods file. So what I did here is I have four methods: approach the hurdle, climb the hurdle, cross over the hurdle at the top, and then descend down the hurdle. And then I've called those methods here and under main method, right? So you can see I'm calling those methods right here. One thing that I want to specify is that when you're creating new Jeroos, again, super creative, this Jeroo's name is J. This is where the Jeroo starts. This is the right direction it's facing, and this is how many flowers it holds. So when I run this, you can see that the Jeroo is hopping over the hurdles. The code's really clean and neat. It's a great way to introduce that, hey, if you develop code for jumping one hurdle, that's great, but it could be really long and really slow if you repeat that without using methods, right? So what I did here is created like basically an instructional guide for students to work through to discover how to get here. So I'm going to stop this right now. So I include what's a behavior, what's a method. Right away, I have an assessment here where they're deciding, hey, which situations would it be useful to create a method for, right? We're introducing what a method is. We can put pictures in. I'm including Parsons problems here for them to immediately be working with how can we set up the method for a Jeroo to turn around. I'm telling them to enter this code. I'm explaining how to do it, including different assessments here, and then embedding videos to present the task, right? So you can edit the guide in any way you want. Let me tell you a secret. This guide is all designed from, let me see if I can grab it really quickly. This Jeroo curriculum guide, which is free, bam. It's not like I stole it, it's free. So I just basically took it from this, right? It took me, I would say 15 minutes to design this within Codio, right? Because it's all there. There's so many resources online that exist for these tools. Jeroo, Scratch, PencilCode. You do a quick Google search and you're going to get a lot of teacher-made resources, right? Is Jeroo method? Yes, it is. Yeah. Oh, you're sorry. I thought that was a question. You were saying that. And then another great thing about Jeroo is that under help, you could go to the language summary and you get all of the different actions, right? So that's really nice that students can access that really quickly. But essentially, I think it's a great way to start to play around with objects, right? Jeroo, if you do research on Jeroo, it's going to say that it's a great way to start introducing object-oriented programming to students. So with that visual component. All right, and then the last thing that I wanted to go over was Scratch. It doesn't really need much of an introduction, but Scratch is super easy to set up in Codio. All you have to do is File, New File. I'm going to press the test. SB3 is the name of the file. You press OK, and there it is, right? What we like to do, though, is we like to set up the Scratch environment next to a guide so that we can walk students through, and I like to shrink this guide down. We can walk students through different tasks. We can give assessments. We can show videos and pictures, right? So this I've already set up. The Amaze game is a really popular task in Scratch. So when I'm clicking through this, I would run into my barriers. I'm using if statements to sense that color red. There's just a lot you could do here, and it has a really high ceiling as well, right? Students I've seen with these maze games, can you define or require split screen layout for students? Yeah, so basically you would create it, and then when a student comes in, they would see it as you define it, right? So if you wanted this guide over here on the right side, fine. Some people like to create sandboxes where they just give, bam, the Scratch environment, and they don't put it next to a panel of our guide. But I like to put this guide right next to it because essentially then you coach, teach along the side. Another thing that's really good to know about Scratch is that you might have projects that you already really love in Scratch. So if you just look at here, this animate this crab one, it's super easy. When I click see inside and I go to file, I can save this to my computer. And it is so easy to bring into Scratch. It's already an SB3 file. So when I click the pencil and I just bring in, I would go to file, upload, and I would bring in that animate the crab. And here it's loading. And now I can take, there it is, it lives right here now. And now I can set it up in my paneling, right? I can include that by just clicking this wrench, going to open tabs, and dragging that file over. And I'm just going to show you what that looks like. If I click preview, you can see I have that from Scratch, bam, right in there. So, I mean, look, when you're teaching younger students, it can be a real pain to have them navigate to different websites, right? Oops. And this all keeps it all in one place. RJ was also talking about at one point how Scratch can be a little tempting for students, right? They're like in it and they're like, where can I go? But here you can specify where you want them to go, right? And it keeps them all in one place. So again, there's a lot that you can do in Codio. RJ also mentioned that if you want something in Codio, just like the folks at Arkansas said, they said, we would love to see pencil code in Codio. We made it happen. So there's a lot of different possibilities here in Codio to infuse what already exists as a really high performing learning platform with some of the best tools in computer science education. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to RJ and she'll conclude the webinar for today.
Thanks, Brittany.
Yes, Brittany, thank you. And I think on top of all the features and the reasons why you would want to select and adopt Codio into your classroom, I think that was a really great example of showing you can use our in-house resources. You can use popular OERs, things that you're already using. You can create your own, and then you can bring in third-party apps so that you really do have a huge variety of ways to be able to utilize Codio. Are you guys seeing my screen? You
Yeah.
are.
Mhm.
Yep.
Hang on. No, I see. There we go. Let me catch up to you here. So basically, if you have any questions, David, you had a great question that I've not seen before, but it's super logical. I can't believe when you were asking about layouts. So let me find out about that, because I don't know if a teacher can specify and require and lock a certain layout for their students, but I will get an answer. Brittany, do you happen to know that?
Yeah, I was just going to respond. So
Okay.
when you're like designing the curriculum, like when you're designing the actual assignment, that's when you set up that paneling. So a student couldn't change that because they're going to be viewing it in like a very read-only type way, right? You're the one underneath having all of these access to different panels and settings like that. So yeah, it's just like it's your call, but students can edit that.
Is it
It's
like a
really nice
theme?
function. What's that?
Can I set it like a theme? Like I call a theme down and just pick choices, or do I have to set all the settings for it? Right. I'm a little. There's so much
Yes.
going on here that it's overwhelming. And I'm just thinking, it's what, August 12th? School starts August 30th. If I was going to even make an attempt for one class
Yep.
to set this up, this is hours of work.
So what do you teach?
I teach CSA, CSP,
Okay.
an intro class, and now I'm adding a cyber class.
Cool. So luckily it sounds like our resource catalog would make it so that you actually don't necessarily have to spend that much time, right? You would just add a resource and then add students. What we were showing there is a lot of the authoring capability. People that stay with Codio for a while, right? They're oftentimes experiencing what you're experiencing. Whoa, that's a lot. I'm going to use a resource that's already so completely set up with the instruction, the assessments, and so forth. And then over time, as they get more used to the platform, then they start to experiment, author their own curriculum, add in things, and so forth. Right. So you're right, though. When you're seeing all of this, you're like, whoa, what doesn't it do? And how can I like find an entry point into that? But a lot of times the entry point is using our pre-made resources, if that helps.
I also wanted to mention that, especially if you have a large organization, that Codio is designed so that you can set up an organization or multiple organizations, and then you invite teachers to that. And each teacher, you can give them specific level and, admin levels of what they can do and not do. And within Codio, you can also share resources and assessments and build your own library, use ours, but you can share that among your organization. So that might be just a feature that would be super useful for you, David. And I think you're dead on. Like, Codio's a lot. It's very powerful. If we weren't doing K-12, if this webinar had just been high school, we might have approached it a little differently and spent more time, talking just about the AP, the resources that we have. Another thing too is for really large volume, we could talk too, if you have a lot of teachers, and maybe we could talk about helping you to port some of that in. I'm not sure. But again, back to where we started, it's $10 a student. So you get this entire package and it's $10 for the year. So we're super proud to be able to do that. Maybe let it all soak in, and then just know that we're here. We want to be able to answer all your questions. We have a really good technical documentation center. You can Google and find anything there. We have our support team, and I can send you a link so that you can connect to a calendar. So our success team, Sharon and Brittany, you can pick a time that's convenient for you, and you can schedule a 30-minute demo, and you can look more specifically ask your specific questions, and you can also talk more about how you can tailor it to meet the needs of your classroom. So you can schedule that, and you can do that as many times as you need to. And we also, once you go into the platform, go down to the help center. We have a help chat bot. And again, it's not 24/7, but it's pretty close. they're really good at getting right back to you. So you can drop a question right there. And then I can email and send you my email address so you can, contact me directly. Because I imagine you'll probably have a lot of questions, but we want to make sure that we help you through that and don't feel overwhelmed. And a lot of people, I'll be honest, a lot of people, they sometimes start with one course and they try it out and kind of get their feet wet and they see what that's like, and then they feel more comfortable. And I don't know, as close as we are to the start of school, that might be a great option for you. So, Tonga, do you have any questions?
I
Didn't
do.
leave much time for questions, sorry.
Are we running out? Are we out of time? for
No, we said
questions?
we didn't give you much question time.
Oh,
Go ahead.
okay.
If it's
We're
yeah, go
okay.
ahead. We're fine.
I was wondering if there was any facilities for hosting code in terms of like a website or creating a chat bot for like Discord or running like automated like Twitter bots or something like that. Is that something that Codio can help with, or would I need to go maybe elsewhere to like Replit or something like that?
Don't say that word.
Don't say the R word.
Don't say
The
that
naughty
word.
Okay,
It
sorry about
sounds
that.
like what you're talking about is more like collaboration, right? Between students.
This would be more like creating an application
Got
that
you.
students can, more real world sort of experience where, they can interact with this bot, maybe mess around with their friends, have their own little Discord channel, or host a website where they can run their JavaScript game or host their JavaScript game, maybe put it onto itch.io or something like that. That would be interesting.
Well, let me find out, because I feel like RJ, there's a lot of resources currently in development. Like the curriculum team is hard at work. So let me ask about that. So and then I can write you if you write your email in the chat, Shanda.
Sure, yeah, definitely.
Cool.
I probably should have mentioned we have Intro to Operating Systems and Data Essentials also launching this semester, and a whole list of introductory resources coming in the spring. So lots of things are cooking there. But to your question specifically, we do have on the business side of our world, we do have customers that actually use Codio with developers that use it to create apps. That their business is creating apps for people. So I know, it's an app development, it's a technology platform, so it's probably possible. But if I went to the developers right now and they'd be completely open, Max is wonderful, he'd probably want just to give me as many specific details as you can about what you're looking for. And again, the beauty of Codio is we'll look at it hard. And if it's something that we can do, we will, or we'll give you, an explanation and say, we can't right now, but probably would need as many details about what you need or what you're looking for. I think I get it, but probably if you put it into your own words and pass that on to us, that would be useful. And then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, sounds good. So I guess Brittany just emailed me, and
Yep.
I'll email you guys back with as much detail as I can.
Perfect.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
Okay, that's the beauty of a small company like Codio.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's awesome. I had a question as we're wrapping up is for any of these options below on the screen, so like the help center, the support team, and the success team, do you have to have student accounts, or can anyone reach out to them? Because I could feel the 30-minute success meeting could be helpful, like if David had more questions.
The way it works right now is we gatekeep that on the front end. We accept teachers. So once you've added a student to your course, then they create their own Codio account and they log in, and we get student questions in the help center as well. So just if some random student just came to Codio in the world and said, hey, help me with this, well, first of all, they probably wouldn't be approved and they couldn't get into the help center. But our goal is to gatekeep that to teachers and classrooms with their students that you add through the management panel.
So someone on this call could book one of those meetings.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
And
Okay, great.
Yeah.
the success team, that's open for anyone that's a customer or not a customer. Because
Perfect. That's awesome. So what I'm envisioning is I can help capture this information, send an email to the follow-up for folks to have that, because to figure out if it's a good fit or not. But yeah, it seems like we exchanged some emails here in the chat, but Rhonda, Brittany, thank you so much.
Thank
I
you
feel like
for
I
hosting
didn't really
us.
know what Codio was, so this is
Mhm.
helpful.
No, that's awesome. Thank you, everyone. It's
I think
always
the
fun to
prompt is
hear.
more like, what isn't it after what you just saw, right? Thank you all so much for asking awesome questions
Yeah.
and being such
All
a
right.
Awesome.
Sorry you ran over a bit there.
No,
Thanks.
no worries. I'll go ahead and follow up with some of that information and the recording for folks who couldn't join. But thanks for joining and have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good one.
Bye. You too.